Welcome to Shame-Ful Locks Championship Weekend Edition. My name is Gabriel Costa. My co-host Blake Profio is here with me. We're here to discuss some championship weekend bets. We've got some recapping to do too, as always. We'll start off by doing that. We've got our playoff futures to recap since those are all officially settled as well now. So I'll start off with those. Playoff futures. Blake, your first one was Dak Prescott to have the most passing yards in the playoffs. I'm sorry you were eliminated round one.
It happens. I mean, yeah, I think he had the most for the wild card round, actually.
He did.
So that's for something, I guess. But lost the bet. So, yeah, I lose money. Not good.
Yeah, those bets are hard because, like, even if, like, your guy is obviously the best at it or, like, obviously going to crush it, it's basically who can stay in the playoffs the longest, especially for something like that, pretty much.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure who's actually leading that category right now, but my guess would probably be Goff.
Or, I mean, yeah, it could be the guys who lost too. So it could be like Baker, honestly. Baker, Jordan Love.
Yeah, they could be. I mean, as long as nobody has like a monster weekend,
Yeah,
those guys have a chance, I would say. And then my playoff future was the Lions to make the NFC Championship weekend. And here we are, NFC Championship weekend. And you know who's still playing? The Lions. Wore some blue for the Lions today. Restore the roar. Happy for them. They're probably the best story still alive. If I had to, like, betting aside, and I don't care about anything else, I'm probably just rooting for the Lions to win it, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
If we're talking betting, I don't think they're going to win it, but I think that I had a pretty good gut feeling that they were going to at least get to this point. So that was a plus 290 winner for me off a 1 unit play. And then Tim just said, you know what? I'm throwing it as far as I possibly can with his pick. And Supreme Leader went with Browns to win the Super Bowl. Blake, how do you think that's looking for him?
Well, I think Joe Flacco's performance in the wild card round really sums it up. He just threw it deep and it got intercepted like 3 times. So 2 pick sixes, right? Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I mean, you had a great huge bet. You won a plus 850 earlier this year with the TJ bet. So I think you kind of inspired him because we made these bets at the same time.
It's TJ Watt. I mean, I'm probably going to bet the same thing next season too, because he's probably not going to win DPOY, so he's going to be all motivated to break the record. So that might be my bet for him to break the record.
Hey, it's never too early to start thinking about next season. I'll tell you that.
Right.
But we've got those added into our overall records. We'll go over the overall records once we get past the divisional round. And before I go to get to the divisional round recap, I just want to say that, like, we've been doing really well. Sorry, I got a work email. Nah, it's not important. Yeah, but we've I think since week 15, we haven't had a losing week, the two of us. Knock on wood here. But we've been doing a pretty good job cleaning up well, especially in these playoffs. We both went 2-1 last week. So I'll start with that recap. Last week, Blake, you had your game pick of Bills minus 2.5. And I don't know if you recall, but I had the opposite of that. I took the Chiefs money line. So it's in the playoffs. I mean, it's bound to happen because there's less games to pick from. But we happen to be on the opposite sides for once.
It happens, man. I just thought it was maybe the time, Bill's time to get over the hump, but remind me not to bet against Mahomes again in the playoffs or ever, because I always lose those bets. So,
you did have your player prop of the week hit, which was Jared Goff over 277.5, which ended up being kind of sweaty, if I recall.
Oh, yeah. I was down to like their second to last drive of the game before they just like ran the ball before they got the interception, I think, or the one before that. But it was kind of sweaty, and I was a little nervous there, but he pulled through and got the win there.
Yeah. And then your lock of the week, which was Lamar Jackson over 50.5 rushing yards. I think that was like nearly a first half cash. What do you have, 50 at half?
I think he was a yard or two short at half, and then I think he finished with like 100 or 100 something. So
that's
honestly,
nuts.
I should have made that like a ladder or something. I would have made some good dough there, but yeah, it was easy.
Yeah. So I mean, 2-1 week, you nothing to be upset about. You went up, if you tailed all 3 of Blake's picks, you won 0.74 units. Blake, you are now sitting at a cool 14.64 units positive on the year, 37 and 27 on the season. We get to my picks here, or actually, hold on. Shame-Ful Locks, you are now 10 and 6. That's important to mention.
Hell yeah.
So for my picks, I also went 2 and 1. Like we already mentioned, my game pick was the Chiefs money line, which that was a really good game, probably the best game of the weekend, to be honest. No, that's not true. The 49ers game was really good too.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right.
But I cashed Chiefs money line at plus 130, so that felt pretty good. Hard to bet against Mahomes. Probably still wouldn't do that this upcoming weekend against the Ravens, just because it's Mahomes. But then my player prop of the week was Baker Mayfield 2+ passing touchdowns. I think he had 3, so that cashed pretty easily, I think, as well. And then my Shame-Ful Lock, which neither of my legs hit. I love to do these 2 little alt line parlays. I did Stroud 200+ passing yards. I think he had like 189 or something like that, like something really close. And then with like a minute 30 in the game, they ran the ball 2 or 3 times in a row. So awesome. Thanks for giving up, Texans. But it wouldn't have mattered because my second leg was Jordan Love 225+ passing yards. And I think if he hadn't thrown that interception on a final drive, I think he had like 210 or something like that. He was also really close. So if he just completed another big pass, he would have cashed. But again, they both lost. So unfortunately, I moved to 7 and 9 on my Shame-Ful Locks this year. That really stinks. But if you totaled all 3 of my picks this week, you won 1.28 units. With the addition of the Lions to make the NFC Championship game, the unthinkable has kind of happened here. Gabe is officially in the positive. Jot that down. Not a false alarm. Gabe is positive on the NFL season, which at some points this year, I think I was down like -8 units. I think I was down at my lowest was like -8.66.
Yeah.
I've climbed back. I mean, there's still 2 weeks to go. I mean, it's not over. Job's not finished. But I am officially positive 0.86 units on the year. Sitting at 31, 32 and 1. So I still have a negative record, but I've hit some good plus money bangers in there. Like I said, I'm 7 and 9 on the year for my Shame-Ful Locks. And then last little recap spot here. Joint TD parlay. It's been a little cold the last. I think we're 1 and 5 in our last 6 TD parlays, but don't let that discourage you. We may be 5 and 9 on these, but if you put $10 in every single one of these, you're still up $181. So you still can't be mad. You can't be mad. We may be cold, but that doesn't mean you're in a bad spot necessarily.
Numbers don't lie. We're due. That's all it is. You know,
absolutely.
Humbled a little bit, so we're due.
Absolutely. So because there are only 2 games this weekend for championship weekend, we're going to change things up a little bit. Usually what we do is we do one game pick, 1 player prop, and then one of our Shame-Ful Locks, which should be basically our favorite bet of the week. It can be anything. We're going to change things up and only give 2 picks this week, but they're both going to be Shame-Ful Locks, each of us. We're both going to have 2 best bets. They'll count towards the Shame-Ful Locks category. We'll probably do the same thing next week as well, or in 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. But yeah, we've only got 2 picks each in a TD parlay. And then at the end, we'll talk about the little matchups a little bit. Kind of just talk about who we got winning. But yeah, without further ado, Blake, I want you to start this week.
Oh, you want me to start? Okay. Mm-hmm. That's fair. All right. So, talking about Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to go to his favorite target in Travis Kelce. And I took his over 62.5 receiving yards at -110 on FanDuel. So obviously, like I just said, he's Mahomes' favorite target. He's his go-to target. I think he holds the record for like he's about to break the record for most receptions in playoff history over Jerry Rice. Him and Mahomes have like the most touchdowns between a duo. So in 18 playoff games, he has 133 catches, 1,548 yards, and 16 touchdowns. And if you take that on a per game basis, that's 7 catches, 86 yards, and almost a touchdown per game. So, I mean, this guy just comes alive in the playoffs, and I don't think anything's going to change on Sunday. against the Ravens, regardless of how good their defense is. So I think he's going to have a big game just because, it's the AFC Championship. You're going to get your best players the ball. So I honestly think he's going to crush 62.5.
Yeah. I think he crushed that last week. What do you have? Did you say?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe like 7. I don't remember actually.
Sorry, I thought you said it. I think he had like
No.
80 plus yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I know he had the 2 touchdowns. I don't remember how many yards he had, but
Yeah, playoff
regardless,
Kelsey's been different.
if you look at that, he averages 86 yards a game in the playoff. That's pretty good for a tight end. It's really good.
Yeah, playoff Kelsey's different. Let me tell you, I like it. All right, cool. I'll go over to my first shameful lock of the week. Then I'm going to the Lions game, and I am going to Jahmyr Gibbs to have his longest rush of the day be over 14.5 yards. I've done this play earlier this year, and I cashed it. It's actually been one of my favorite plays to play this year. I know I've done a lot of Lions running back parlays and crap like that this year. But Gibbs has kind of been I don't want to say their best running back, but he's kind of been their more explosive running back, I would say, for the Lions. I don't think the 49ers, I know their defense is very good. I'm not going to say their defense is bad, but I think it showed. Aaron Jones ran all over them last week with the Packers. So I think that's going to continue to happen with the Lions. The Lions love the ground pound the ball. And Jahmyr Gibbs has cleared this line of 14.5 being his longest rush on 6 of his last 8 games. And I'm going to roll with the hot hand here. I love Gibbs. I think when he breaks one for at least 15 every game, essentially.
Yeah. Jones averaged 6 yards to carry last game. Looking at that, his long was 53. So wow. I mean, yeah, you see Gibbs play. He has at least like one explosive touchdown a game, rushing wise. He's just a great player to watch. And I know during the draft, everyone was kind of saying they drafted Gibbs a little early. Even I think I said that, but it's paid off. He's a stud. So
yeah, and it seems like he's definitely at the beginning of the season, Montgomery was definitely getting a lot more carries, but it definitely seems like it's a 50-50 split. Gibbs had 9 carries last week. Monty had 10, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Moving on to my other shameful lock. I'm sticking in that game, Lions 49ers, and I'm going with Brandon Ayuk over 80.5 receiving yards. And I got this at -110 on FanDuel. So if you've been watching the Lions past couple of weeks, their passing defense is really bad. Number 1 receivers have gone off against them lately, especially in the playoffs. Mike Evans had 147 yards last week, and honestly, he should have had more. I know he had a drop or 2. And then the previous game, Puka had 181 yards.
Wow.
Number 1 wide receivers have just gone off against this defense, and I think Brandon Ayuk is probably the number 1 true wide receiver. I know they have Debo, but he's questionable to play, and he's not really the route runner or wide receiver. Ayuk is. He's more of a do-it-all type guy. So, and the one biggest thing is Cam Sutton is Lions' number 1 defensive back, number 1 corner. And I'm sorry, I like the guy. He played for the Steelers for a long time, but he's a number 2 defensive back. He's not good enough to be a number 1. No disrespect, Cam Sutton. But I think Ayuk has a very good possibility of killing this line, especially with the amount of weapons 49ers have. You can't double team everybody. So
yeah. Would you be willing to put this out there? Barbecue chicken alert.
I'll put it out there. Barbecue chicken alert on high alert.
High alert.
Wow. Mike Evans and Puka both killed this guy, and I know Ayuk isn't like. I don't know if I'd put him top tier, but he's right below that top tier wide receivers. So
I think Ayuk has definitely emerged this year, and I know you've rolled with him a handful of times this year, and I think he's cleared for you. So he's definitely been a go-to guy for you, which is good. Like to roll with the guys who are making things go through the hoop.
Sure.
All right, cool. Last shameful lock of the week. You know me, I couldn't do a shameful lock without having at least one little 2-legger, and you know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm doing 2 alt lines game picks here. For my pick this week, I'm doing Chiefs plus 10.5 against the Ravens, parlayed with Lions plus 14.5. I got that at -116 on ESPN bet. And let's dive into this one here. So like we mentioned earlier, I don't want to bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. Even if he does lose, I just think he's guaranteed to cover plus 10.5. I just don't see the Ravens blowing out the Chiefs. Both these teams have really good defenses. I think as long as the Chiefs can keep making Lamar throw the ball, I think they're in a great shape. And I know they have really good linebackers and good secondary, and a really good pass rush. So I expect this to be kind of a lower scoring game. I just don't see the Chiefs losing by more than 10. And then this leg is definitely a little bit more worrisome. I don't think it'll go that way, but I have Lions plus 14.5. I think the 49ers will probably end up winning this game, but I don't think the Lions will get blown out because, like I said, the Packers kind of had their way with the 49ers defense most of the game last week. And I think that the Lions have a very comparable offense with the run game and the pass game going. I think the 49ers will probably win this game, but I don't think it'll be a blowout, anything more than 14. So love these two legs, parlay them together, rolling with my two-legger of the week.
Yeah, as long as there's no blowouts, I mean, it should hit. I mean, there shouldn't be any blowouts. It's the two best teams from each conference, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like the pick. It should be a no-brainer, but it's the NFL.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, like last year, the Eagles blew out the 49ers last year in the NFC Championship game because Brock Purdy got hurt in like the second drive.
Yeah.
No big injuries, please. No, I'm knocking on the wood a lot right now, dude. No big injuries. I don't think there should be any blowouts this weekend.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. That'll wrap us up for our picks this week, but we go ahead and move over to our touchdown parlay of the week. As always, we don't count these towards our record, but we are recommend putting $10 in every single one of them. Like I said, we're 5-9 on these on the year, but don't let that discourage you. If you put $10 in every single one, you're up over $180. That's pretty good in my eyes. So I'll start with my guy this week. I'm rolling to Isaiah Pacheco. Anytime touchdown score. I believe he was plus 130-ish, maybe 115-ish on most books. But I love Pacheco. He's really been rolling lately. I believe he's had a touchdown in both playoff games so far this year. He definitely had one against the Dolphins, and I think he had one last week against the Bills. He's running hard, and he runs like a beast, man. He runs really insane. Like if I were to build a team, I would want a running back to run just like Pacheco, to be honest. But I think he's going to get in the end this week.
Yeah, Pacheco's a stud. I mean, saying that, he was on my fantasy team. I love him. Hopefully I get him next year because I think I've had him for 2 years. But yeah, I love it. So I'm also going to get another running back. I'm going to go with the opposite of Gibbs. I'm going to go with David Montgomery. I just think he's definitely the ground and pound back. And I know Gibbs has kind of been in the spotlight the last couple of weeks, which he should be, and he still will be. But when they get down to the goal line, you know that they like to run Monty. Even though last week they ran that one random guy. What was his name?
Craig Reynolds.
Yeah, whoever that is. I mean, good for him. But in those situations, you usually see Monty. So I'm going to put my money on David Montgomery.
Fun fact.
You can.
Yeah, I got you in a second. The odds on those two guys scoring a touchdown was really surprising to me. Is 532, two RB1s to score a touchdown this weekend. Yeah, I'm taking that.
Big time.
But we got that at FanDuel, by the way. But fun thing for you real quick. That Craig Reynolds touchdown, I caught a clip of that Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast, and he was talking about how Craig Reynolds was not supposed to be in that play. It was supposed to be David Montgomery, but they just accidentally put the wrong guy in. Like there was like some type of like substitution error. So they just put him in, and then they're like, "Oh, fuck it, let's just run the play." He's
really?
like, "Yeah." So that was a complete substitution mismatch, which sucks because like you could do all this data and like, yeah, this guy from the 1 yard line gets it all the time. No, they accidentally put in the third string running back, and he scores the touchdown. So
you never know. Sportsbooks should have called him up real quick, like, "Hey, give it to your third running back. We don't need Monty scoring." So
I know Gibbs had one last week too, so I think Monty was the only one not to. Which you know what that means? He's due.
He's due, as we like to say on this show. He's due.
We love to say it. All right, cool. That'll wrap us up for our official picks this week. We'll talk real quick. There's only 2 games this weekend. But Chiefs at Chiefs at Ravens. What do you think, Blake?
It's like we've been saying the whole show. You can't bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. burned me last week. I'm just not sold on Lamar Jackson yet. I'm not sold on him. So I'm going with the better quarterback. I'm going with the better team. I think the better coach. I'm going with the Chiefs.
I know that spread has been moving a lot on that game too. I think it was originally 3.5, and it was kind of leaning, like, I think it was like minus 105 for plus 3.5 on the Chiefs. Chiefs are the underdog in this game. And it's starting to move to like plus 4 on a lot of books. So that's pretty good. It's kind of a telltale of where they think the money's going to be. I think a lot of people are betting the Ravens over under at 44.5. But I saw these are the only two defenses all season who have not allowed a team to score more than 30 points.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of like the under in this game. I'm going to be honest, but if I get like exactly what you said, I'd bet on the Chiefs, to be honest. I actually, this is funny. I just want the AFC to win the Super Bowl. I have two future bets, one on the Chiefs to win it and one on the Ravens to win it. So either way, as long as the AFC wins the Super Bowl, I'm going to be happy. But I personally hate the Ravens, being a Steelers fan, and I know most of America hates the Chiefs because they're annoying as hell.
Yes.
But it really is. If I didn't have money involved, I would hate both these teams, and I want them both to lose. But since I have money involved, go AFC.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough being a Steelers fan in this matchup. You hate, like you said, you hate the Ravens. Kansas City's so annoying. Mahomes' wife, she's annoying.
Existing, really, she should really stop doing that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the NFC game. Personally, I love the Lions. I love their story. If I could pick a team to win Super Bowl, I'd pick the Lions.
Yep.
Just because Detroit football, they haven't had anything since. Calvin Johnson was Matt Stafford, like just chucking it up, throwing Hail Marys. That's like the highlight from their past like 30 years before Barry Sanders. So I'd love to see the Lions win it all, but I think 49ers are just like too complete of a team not to win this. They're at home. I know they just had a close game against the Packers, but I can't bet against 49ers right now. So I'm going for 49ers. I just can't.
I completely agree with you. The spread is now 7.5 in favor of the 49ers, over under 51.5, which is pretty high for that game. But yeah, I like the 49ers to win this one. Like I've said, I think the Lions would be the best story for the NFL. I would argue that's America's team right now. Nobody hates the Lions. It's like saying nobody hates the Lions. I'm just trying to think. That's like everyone hates Arizona. Like nobody hates the Cardinals. They haven't done shit. So like people hate the Browns because they're annoying, but like people hate the Bengals because they can be annoying. People hate the Steelers because we can be annoying too. But like you can't say shit about the Lions. The Lions have been dog shit for 30 years, and now they're finally here. They worked their way up. They didn't even have any drama, no nothing. All they did was have a kick-ass coach motivate that team all the way here.
Yeah, love Dan Campbell. He's the man. I want the Lions to win, man, but
I do too.
I think their luck might be running out here, to be honest. So
yeah, I mean, still, you got to be able to take that hat off and hang it up pretty high if you're a Lions fan, though. I mean, still to be able to get to this point. I mean, good for them, man. Wish
Agreed.
The Steelers could do something like that. When was the last time we did something?
Since Big Ben, man. Tough out here without a franchise quarterback. We'll save that for another day. I can talk about that all day.
All right. That'll wrap us up for championship weekend. Blake, you got any closing remarks?
Just enjoy football while it's here. 2 weeks Super Bowl, and then after that it's like 7 months without football, or 6 months or something till training camp, and it's depressing. So
yeah, people always talk about seasonal depression when winter comes and stuff, and I usually have a delay on that. It doesn't really hit me until after the Super Bowl, because then my Saturdays and Sundays are really empty and I have to start picking up new hobbies, and that gets really old real quick.
Yeah, do some gardening outside. That'd be fun.
Go to hell.
Go get a house.
Yeah, gotta buy a house.
Aged.
And these are things that are just up there. They're fugazi. Think about them. Yeah, they're not that important. Football's more important. All right, awesome. That'll wrap us up for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you think in the comments. Peace out.